Give me 1 minute. Hi everyone. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yeah, can see.
Yeah. So I'll start with my name. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm going to present to you my analysis for clothing core design team productivity. So how I'm going to structure my presentation is that I'll first introduce the background for clothing core, then identify the problem statements, define my metrics for analysis, and then I'll present to you my findings. So to start us off, Clothing Core is a design company in Kenya. So before it manufactures new styles, it does prototyping. So in prototyping, there are three different distinct stages. That is the making the design, cutting the design, and then making the sample. So the CEO wanted to understand the productivity for the design teams, that is the three design teams, to understand basically the productivity of the design team. So when I thought of productivity, some of the metrics that came into mind based on the data given is the time taken in every design stage. That's one of the metrics that you can be able to deduce from the data. Another metric is to identify if a style is timely or overdue in production, in sample production. So just to understand our data, the data has 76% of 76% of the styles are new, 16% are reorder, 6% are new basic, 2% is production sample. So we can also see that the production trend from May to August, because that's what our data provides. It says that we have 68 styles that were initiated in May. Then there was an increase to 97 in June. Then there was a peak in July, which we had 152 new initiated styles. Then we had a drop of the styles initiated to 31 in August. So I think from that I can now present my findings. So based on the data, I saw that the average style approval time was 18 days. Then average style cutting time was 1 day. Then average sample making time was 2 days. This is based on all style categories, all versions, and between May to August. So maybe to understand how every style category performed in these three different stages, we can use this filter. So we can see that the average style approval time was 0, 0, 0, 0. So why it's 0 is because the initiation date, the data didn't have the date for initiation, and how I calculated the style approval time was the time taken for style to be approved minus initiation date. So that's why it's recording 0. So if we want to see for new, we can see the average time taken for approval was 26 days. Average style cutting time was 1 day. Average sample making time was 2 days. And that's between May to August. Then for new basic, we can see that it's performing well. We can see that it's performing well. So if we were to say that the HODs were the ones who were approving, it took them one day to approve. Then the cutting time took an average of 1 day, and then the sample makers were taking an average of 1 day for new basic. For the production sample, that's the same case. Then reorder, same case. So we can now dive into understanding, was the production timely or overdue? So to help us understand if the production was timely or overdue, we'll use this chart over here. So we can see that, so let me remove the filter so that first we can see. So from this chart over here, we can see that the new styles were overdue. Majority of the new styles were overdue, with them having 160 styles, then followed by new basic, which had 7 overdue, then followed by reorder, which had 3 overdue. So maybe the reason as to why I chose the color yellow to represent this chart is because what we want to see really is overdue, and we want to see which are these styles are taking a long time for the production to end. So we can now filter based on the style category. So for the clothing essentials, there was no data. So for the new categories, we can see that we have 160 styles which are overdue. For the new basic, 7. For the production sample, we had no style that was overdue, so that's a good thing. For the reorder, we have 3 that were overdue. So let's come back to the new, which had majority of the styles being overdue. So you want to check by versions, which version were taken were overdue. So we can select so for styles of version 0, we can see that there was no style that was overdue. So for version 1, we can see that this is where we have majority. I would say, we have majority of the new styles being overdue with 145. Then for version 2, we have actually, let me just unselect one. So version 2, we have 11. And for version 3, we have 4. So my conclusion was that it's taken a long time for the team approving new styles, having an average of 25 days. Maybe just to show you guys what I'm saying is that so for the new styles, it's taken an average of 25 days for all the versions, but for version 1 particularly, it's taken an average of 31 days. So we need to investigate why approval time is taking a long time and put measures to reduce the time reasonably. So when doing this analysis, my assumption was that any style or design with a blank on a date for sample completion is considered to be pending sample production. So that's my analysis, and I welcome any questions or critique.
Okay, let me start. That was a great presentation, Elizabeth. Thank you. First, can we go to the raw data? I'm curious to know what you did with the missing values.
Okay. So majority of the missing values were in dates. So how I feel the missing data was, I started with the date for sample completion. So to fill in these other dates, I used backfilling. So if the sample completion date, if I had the sample completion date and I had the initiation date, if let's take like this row 2, we can see that we had the initiation date was 1st of the 7th month, that is July, and the completion day was 1st of July. So if there was missing value on dates for approval and date for cutting, I filled those missing values with the same dates, because if it was initiated on 1st and the sample was completed on 1st, it means that all the other stages were done on the same day. So that's how I filled my missing values. But in a case where I didn't have initiation date, I didn't fill the null values, so I left them as they were. And that's why we could see that the average time taken for, was it essentials, was 0, because the initiation day was a blank cell. I hope I have explained myself well.
Okay, why didn't you want to backtrack the initiation date as well, just like how you've done with the others? For example, if the initiation date is blank and we can
Mm-hmm.
see that the completion date, the date given, and all the others are the same,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it also make sense for the initiation date to be also the same day?
That was an assumption I didn't want to make because uh, I didn't know that. So I didn't want to make that assumption.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you did make the assumption for the other days. So I'm wondering why you didn't do the same for the initiation dates.
The reason as to why I didn't make the assumption for the initiation date to be the date for for the sample completion is because the initiation day would be like yesterday and the
Mm-hmm.
completion date would be like today. So you see,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell. But if the initiation day is today and the
Mm-hmm.
date for sample completion is today, that is
Mm-hmm.
to mean that
Mm-hmm.
all the stages happened today. You get?
Okay,
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. And
Yeah.
so did you remove them all together or did you still do analysis for those which didn't have initiation dates?
I did the analysis for all of them. I didn't remove any. I only removed one column,
Mm-hmm.
and that one column didn't have dates, and also
Mm-hmm.
the style category was I think value 5. So I removed that row.
All right, let's go to the charts, to the dashboard. And filter everything. What did I want to ask? Yeah. So for the production trends,
Mm-hmm.
right? When
Yeah.
someone asks you what is this 6897, what's that? Are they samples? Are they items? What are they?
They are style designs or
Okay.
style names, yes.
Okay, so you'd make a point of noting that because
Mm,
no one, we don't know what that is. It's just you just put in numbers, but we don't know it's a trend for what exactly.
okay. So.
And also the same for the production timely or overdue. Is it still design as
Yeah,
well?
for the style names.
Okay, yeah. Also for that, you'll make a point to note that, to just be
Mm-hmm.
specific in what you're looking at. And
Okay.
also, can we go to the place where it was 0? I don't know which style that was. It new? Was it the new style?
I think it was clothing core essentials.
Yeah, okay. Approval time is 0.
Yeah.
This means that it was done within the same day.
No, maybe let me just go back to the raw data.
Mm-hmm.
So when I select, you see, I didn't fill the initiation date, so there's
Mm-hmm.
no way I could tell the average time it took for style approval time. So that's why it's coming to 0.
Okay, okay, I see that. Okay, I wouldn't advise for you to, if you don't have the initiation date
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to make the assumption that it was made on the same day,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say you just don't even do any analysis on that because someone will ask you, what is 0?
Mm-hmm.
What does 0 mean? Because you've already put it in your dashboard, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so does it mean if it was done within the same day or what exactly? How would you say that? You didn't put the initiation date, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd advise you just don't even do any analysis on that if you're not willing to do the assumption that it was
Mm-hmm.
done on the same day, right?
Yeah.
And then these
Mm-hmm.
assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say assumptions, is it possible? You see the way you've put it here on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, put it below. You see below the charts?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then now you put your assumptions there, your key findings there, and then your recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
and then now you push the filter
Okay.
so that it can align with this initiation date part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else with any other question? Please, guys, ask questions. We're here to learn. Come on, guys.
So maybe a follow-up question, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I didn't have data for clothing core essentials,
Uh-huh.
would you suggest that I would have done away with those rows, so that
Which
now when I come to select clothing core essentials,
mm-hmm.
I'm not like the average time taken in different stages would at least not show 0.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones that you are not willing. And then also don't be afraid to do assumptions. You see, it's an assumption.
Mm,
That's why it's an assumption, right? So
mm,
no one is going to fault you on that.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, Mbithi.
Hi, Susan. Hi,
Hi.
Elizabeth. This is good. I have a question on the raw data. Just skim through the tagged raw data. Yeah, remove the filters. Yeah. So, you see the color coding. This is just it's a question, but yeah, I need to give context. So, the color coding, I bet what I thought was it is according to the style category. Yeah. So, I would like to know how you row number 19 was empty in the original data set. So, like what made you choose new basic instead of new?
The reason as to why I chose New Basic was that when I selected all the style names with New Basic, I realized that all the style names had basic. Like basic, the basic word was in the style name, like clothing core basic, dolman denim. So that's why I chose to fill it with New Basic instead of new.
Okay, interesting. Thanks. Go back to your outputs. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
which so I'm guessing in your production trend charts, the line
Mhm.
graph, you've used the month of production for the date side, right?
Yeah.
And then what figures have you counted? Is this count or sum or average?
Uh, it's count based on months.
Count based on months, but what field have you counted? Are you
Maybe you
getting?
can expound the question further.
You see
Mhm.
here, yes, you're saying May was 68. Like what 68 is it the style categories? Am I the style numbers? Am I
These are the style names that were initiated on May.
so style names you mean style category?
No, these ones.
Okay. I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. And then what metrics did you use to know if
Uh-huh.
it's overdue or timely?
So let me just go back to the raw data. So I created a calculated column. So how I came to the conclusion if a style was timely or overdue was um, how did I do it? Let me just remember.
Is there a formula in that column? As in
No,
when you
I
put
removed the form. I removed the
okay.
formula. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see, we had the column for production month,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had the date for some month. The date for sample completion.
Mm-hmm.
So if the month when the sample was completed was greater than
Mm-hmm.
the production month,
Mm-hmm.
I put that to be overdue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if it's less, it was timely.
It
Less or
was
equal to.
Yeah, less or equal to, it was timely. Okay, equal
Okay.
to. Yeah.
Okay, just go back to the output again. Okay, that's good. Thanks. I've gotten your explanation. And then also the last one. I'm sorry, I have many questions. Average on the, what do we call these things? On the key cards on the top.
Yeah.
The average, style, approval time, what metrics did you use up here?
You mean how I calculated the
Mm-hmm.
so how I calculated the average style approval time was that I subtracted this date minus initiation date, then I added 1, because you see, most of them had the same date. So
Mm-hmm.
if I subtract, you would have zeros, and
Mm-hmm.
0 means
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So I
Mm-hmm.
added 1 to mean that it took 1 day
Mm-hmm.
for the sample to be approved.
Okay, just go back to your output again. So it is basically the same, you've used the same thinking code across. It's the
Yeah,
same for the cutting time. So cutting time, you took the date for
date cut
mhm,
minus date given.
initiation date, right?
No,
Minus.
the date. Let me just go back to so date cut minus date approved for cutting.
Okay. The
Then
first one you said you used which columns? Sorry,
date
come back
approved
again.
for cutting minus
Mm-hmm.
initiation date. Then the
Mm-hmm.
second one was date cuts minus date approved for cutting. Then the other one was date completed minus date given to sample makers.
Okay. So you're basically trying to find the average time in every process.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. That's
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you.
Elizabeth, I have one more question. And then we can go to John. Yeah, if someone asks you what assumption would you make why there was a peak in July, what would you say? Why do you think there was a peak in July in the production trend?
I thought about that question, but I was not able to come up with a conclusive answer, because that will have to mean that basically I would have to be in the production team to have seen over the months and identified why there's an increase of styles being initiated. So that's something I thought about, but I didn't really know the answer.
Okay. Yeah, like you could also say, what is it called? Maybe there was a lot of marketing campaigns that went on at the time. And so they got a lot of people to come in. It's just an assumption, right? But just always prepare yourself for such questions to explain the trends.
Okay.
Njambi, I saw your hand up. Njambi, you there?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for that. Now, on the production trend, Elizabeth, I'm asking if the numbers are based on the samples that have been completed fully or just all the samples?
Yeah, you can repeat the question, please.
On the production trend, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, on the production trend, is it the number of samples that have been completed fully? Is it a count or an average?
It's count.
It's
The
a count.
count of the style names.
Whether they have been, the ones that have been completed or the ones that have been initiated?
Initiated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Or maybe another one, you can show me how you made a slicer for the initiation date, because I had a challenge with that. From the instructions, we are supposed to show by date and also by day. Maybe did you have that?
Yeah. So you either select whether you want to see months, quarters, days, or years. So if you want to see maybe the month of May, you select May. If you want to see May and June, if you want to see all the months, you just select.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, I'm asking,
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen that there is a gap in production approval times, like 25 days, an average of
Mm-hmm.
25 days for a style to be approved.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering what kind of recommendations would you make to reduce this time gap?
So I recommended that we investigate further why approval time is taking a long time and put measures to reduce the time reasonably, because you see, I cannot be able to make like an accurate recommendation because I really don't know why it's taking a long time. The data is not sufficient enough to tell me why it's taking a long time for the style to be approved. So the recommendation would be to investigate like further why is it taking a long time. But maybe the assumption I had was that because new styles are the ones which are taking most time for approval, it's just by the mere fact that they are new. So deciding whether they are going to be cut and they are new styles, it's going to take a long time because it's a new style. I don't know if you get.
Yeah, actually, that's an accurate answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else with a question?
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just I have a question about the initiation date slicer. How did you come up with it?
Like how I came up with it.
Yes, like what type of slicer is that?
It's a date slicer. You want me
Uh,
to show you how
yes,
I
please,
brought
if
it to
you
the
don't mind.
dashboard?
Yeah, please, if you don't mind.
So, where is it? So I came to the insert tab, then you select timeline. But okay, how did I do it? Oh, let's say insert. Where is it? Timeline. Then basically you come to a chart that has date values, then you select insert or timeline. Then I selected the one date values, like initiation date, then okay. Then I brought it here. Then I connected it to all the other pivot tables that I needed them to show based on month or day. So I selected the pivot table, then okay, and that was it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else? And move on to the next person. Let's see. Thank you, Elizabeth. Is Maureen here? Is Wambui here? Wambui, Maureen, are you guys here?
Hi, Suzanne. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
This is Wambui.
Yes.
I'm not yet ready to make my presentation, so maybe somebody else can start in the meantime.
Maureen has said that she won't make it. I think she's the one who's texted me.
Oh, so it's just me?
Yeah, it's just you.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Okay.
Can you see my screen? I'm not so conversant with using Microsoft Teams, so I don't know if I'm sharing my screen properly. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Right.
Wambui, now just open your Excel file. Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't really had the time to like go back and like refresh everything on what I had done when I was analyzing the data and stuff. So forgive me if I'll just be going like back and forth, right? So so this is the analysis I made. I didn't save I just used the raw data to make my own analysis. So I decided to download the actual raw data. So we'll just be going back and forth between this Excel file and this one, okay? So we'll start with the color coordination. So what I did is for the style number, I decided to just do away with this column. Hey, I really tried to just see if I can make sure if there's a way I can get like the style numbers to match the style name, but was almost impossible because there was no consistency when it came to like the last digits. So it would have really helped to have this data, but was impossible. So it was becoming very complicated. So I just decided to do away with that. Then for column C, I decided that since there's like a color coordination, I decided to make sure that the numbers the style names that had this blue color, I just dragged everything down. So if it had color blue, they were all under production sample. If it was colorless, it was new, and so on and so forth. Then for the month, just a sec, I had my notes somewhere. Yeah, so it wasn't entirely correct. So I converted the months from the initial dates. Sorry. If you see from the initial date, you'll see some inconsistencies. You'd find that maybe here it's written June, but this initial date is July. So I just decided to convert this PD month from this initiation date so that they match. Then for the dates, also they did not have the what's it called? The format for the dates were not matching. So I just converted everything in the dates to have one consistent format. So this led to me finding some inconsistencies as well when it came to the initiation date and the dates approved for cutting. So I found that there was an initiation date that was on the 24th, but the date for cutting was on the 21st. So I just converted, I deleted it. Sorry, I deleted that whole row. Then from there, I decided to present the total time it took per team to complete per month. So by that, I mean, I grouped them by cutting. So cutting was under from the date that was approved to the date they started cutting. Then for the sample, from the time they received the material from the cutting team to the time where they completed the sample. So from that, I took the dates and converted everything to like no specific format, just so that I can be able to calculate the time it took for the cutting team to finish, right? So from there, once I converted, I just did a difference between the end cutting date and the starting cutting date. So you'd find that there's some that took 0 time to finish. Then there's some that took 1 or more time to finish. And then there's some that took a negative. So the ones that took less than 0, I assumed that this means that you decided to just start and maybe like get ahead of the rest of the team. And then by the time they're basically just taking shortcuts. Then by the time it got approved, they did not really end up finishing, right? So I then converted, I grouped them by these numbers. So if it was 0, it means you have not started. If it was more than 0, it means you finished. And if it was less than 0, it means you've not finished, right? So this is the same process I took with the sample team. And then I also decided to just collectively calculate the total time it took for all teams to finish, just to see how long it takes for just production to be finished in general, right? So this one had way more interesting numbers. So it took like maybe like 58 days, 57 days, 75 days, and so on and so forth to finish. So then from there, I just did the pivot tables and created the charts. So this was the total time it took. I decided to just specify how long it took to finish. I think the question was talking about the efficiency or something like that. By the way, when it comes to the quarterly level, I genuinely was not able to calculate the dates into quarters. I didn't know how to convert that. I really tried. Then there was somewhere that was supposed to talk about like the efficiency, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So so from there, this is what I was able to get. So the time it took for the cutting team in May, it was very low. In June, it was a bit higher, and then in July, it spiked. Then we had the same for I did the same for the sampling team. In May it was low, in June it was higher, and then in July it was more higher, and then in August it went down. Is there someone who's trying to ask a question?
Yeah, Omboi, can you take us to your dashboard now?
Oh, we just go to
Yeah, just go straight to the dashboard. Yeah.
okay. So from there, I added the slicers. So the slicers was just from the pivot tables. I just literally copy pasted them to the output tab. So these are the slicers. Then we also had the assumptions. So my assumptions were all blank cells. From the initiation and completed dates columns were filled with duplicated dates from the cells above. Right. So for the ones that were blank, I just literally filled them with the duplicated ones. Rather, I duplicated the dates to the blank cells. And then for the PD month was not matching the dates for the initiated month, so I realigned them to match. Then some dates were not making sense. I mentioned that. Then all blank cells from the new R column were also matched by duplicating the cells above. So from the analysis, I've already shown this graphs. And then there was also the total time taken per department. So what I got from this is that we had a lot of workers that were on the new department, as opposed to like the clothing core, the new basic, the production, and then reorder. So this led to me making recommendations of increasing the number of workers to ensure that the clothing items are finished in time. So like this clothing company, either like increasing workers in all these other four departments, or redistributing the ones that are new. Like if there's too many workers here, they need to be moved to like these other departments. Then consider doing away with the clothing lines that take too long to finish. And this one was from this graph. This was the average time taken per clothing line, and you'd see that I don't know if you guys are able to see. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Right, so the clothing core, Zena sleeveless shawl, that it took more than 80 days to finish. So maybe they can do away with this, or this the bottom ones, just to take less time, and then also try to spread out the workers. So that's what I've just mentioned. I think that's basically it. There any questions or any recommendations? Please feel free to share.
Wamboy, this graph for average time taken per clothing line,
Yeah.
can you sort it from highest to lowest?
Also, it should be like the vice versa.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what you want your attention, people's attention to go.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm not even like this was just me trying to participate in. I'm not even like a data analyst or anything. So I'm actually learning from you guys.
No, it's a good job. I love the color scheme. That's the first thing that caught my attention.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I should mention that what have I done? Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Let's go to the raw data, the place where you had done the sheet where you had done the calculations.
mm-hmm.
There's this part for the negatives. Can you go back to
Yeah.
that part that had the negatives?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
You
you
just
can
filter out.
filter out the negatives.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not filter out. I mean, just remain with the negative. Sorry.
Okay.
I want you to remain with the negatives. Okay, this calculation was for what were you subtracting?
The end date from the starting date to see the total time it took to finish.
Initiation minus
No.
is it?
No. So there was this column for dates approved for cutting and then the date they started. So from that I decided to, this was literally the time it took for the cutting department to do their job. So I decided to take this as the end date that they finished to do their cutting for them to finish their job. So I subtracted this from column H, the date they started. This was the end date, this was the starting date.
But isn't the date approved? The date approved for cutting. Shouldn't that be the start date because that's when they've been
Yeah,
approved?
that's what I've said. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you said.
Yeah, this is the starting date, and this is the end date. The date for approved for cutting is the starting date, and then the end date for the cutting department is the date they cut.
So you did date cut minus date. I'm trying to understand where the negative is coming from.
The negative is coming from the fact that these guys started before they were approved. So
okay.
yeah, it's like they were trying to take shortcuts. This is my assumption now. Because you see, this is June and then this is July. So it was like they were trying to get ahead of everybody else in the team. But they never even finished. So the materials are just taken to the sample team. So those were my assumptions.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go to the dashboard. Zoom in a bit. All right. Yeah, also for you, I'd recommend the assumptions, put them at the bottom.
Oh, so not at the top. Okay.
Yeah, put them at the bottom. Also the recommendations, put them at the bottom as well. And here, the total time taken per department. You know, I had to go back to see if we had a department column. So for the reorder, you put them under department. You assumed it's a department.
Yeah.
All right. Did you add that in your assumption?
No, I didn't.
Okay, add that. Because other people might say it's a category.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to just put it out there and just say that was your assumption.
Okay. Noted.
So in your data, if it's department, does it say that there's a specific department that deals with new stuff, a specific department that deals with reorder stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else with a question?
Wait, sorry, I mentioned something here, and I realized it's actually the vice versa. So my recommendation was try to spread out the workers from other departments to the new department to try and even out the time taken to finish production. And this one is that these guys didn't even get to start, and this ones didn't even get to start. I mean, sorry, these guys took a really short time to finish, and this ones took a really long time to finish. So this means that all other departments had way more workers than the new department. So it's the vice versa. They should have added more workers into the new department so that they take a lesser time to finish. I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making sense?
Wait, say that again.
Um, so what the graph shows me here is the total time taken for the new department was longer as compared to all the other departments, right? So my thinking was that maybe the other departments had more workers that were doing the production or the clothes production. So my recommendation was that maybe we can redistribute the workers and just add more to the new department so that it takes less time for them to finish production.
Yeah. Or you can also assume that in the new category they have more work because maybe there are more orders coming in.
True, yes.
Yeah, and regardless of them having more people, still they're not able to meet the timelines. That could also be another assumption.
Yeah. Or even we can talk about like the machinery used, stuff like that. Maybe these guys have more equipment. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else with another question? Jambi, I saw your hand up.
Yes, I'm interested on the total time taken by cutting tin to finish. There was no August's data.
Yeah, these rows I deleted. Actually, there were quite a number. And the ones I deleted were the ones that were empty, that were blank, right? Because you'd have like the initiation date and then everything else is blank. And there were quite a number.
Susan, what do you
If
have
there
to
was
say?
also,
Sorry?
No, is it, are we also allowed to like delete columns and rows? Or we should also include that in our assumptions?
Yeah, you should, but deleting is normally like, how many rows did you delete in total and how did it affect the sample that you are working with?
The other thing is that I remember the formats in these rows, these columns were not all consistent. So when I converted, there's a lot that changed. And then for the ones that were blank, so like this one's in August, we had the initiation date, the date approved, and then nothing from there. So I just deleted those rows. I can't really quantify how many I deleted. I didn't record that. But there's also some changes that were made when I was converting these dates into the same format, into like the short date. Was it the long date? I can't remember. Yeah.
Okay, because normally deleting is usually supposed to be the last result. Because when you delete, you skew the data.
Okay.
Yeah, so try like other methods, even though it's like backtracking. It could be using the mode or something. You just delete where you know that this is not going to help you in any way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
Okay. Yeah. To be honest, I thought this would actually not help me in any way if there were like no other dates, nothing else to show that even the sample was completed. However, like you said, I probably should have just maybe like copy pasted, duplicated the dates or something like that.
Yeah, but if you do delete, just make sure you've stated it.
Okay.
In your assumptions and the reasons why.
All right.
Anyone else with a question?
I have a question.
Mhm.
For the data that Wambo is saying she deleted, the ones that had an initiation date, but they didn't have dates going, like the other dates after that. We saw in Elizabeth's presentation, the one that she backtracked, the ones that probably she had the date of completion and the date that was cut. I think she backtracked. Did she backtrack from the other way, or yeah? So I'm thinking, can it also be possible to like make an assumption for basing on say sample data, because we've seen also that some of the rows have the same dates way from initiation to completion. Can someone also use that for the dates that are missing? They have initiation dates, but they don't have the other dates. Can I also assume that all that was done on the same day and just feel?
Sorry? Is that a question to me or to Susan?
Anyone? I'm thinking. So you see, like on the raw data where we have the date of the initiation date, but some they don't have. There's no data on the other processes for cutting going forward till completion. I'm asking if it is possible to make an assumption if I have the initiation date, can I just use, can I fill forward
Yeah.
with the same
I think
dates?
one of the instructions was saying that if any uncertainties arise during this exercise, please use your best judgment and note the assumptions you make as comments. So basically, you can just do whatever you want to do, so that the data makes sense for you, right? And
Okay.
then you note that down. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and you can also check if that same item, if there's another thing, the same. I've seen there's a lot of duplicates. Yeah, you can also check if there's another item with the same name and also has an initiation or completion date, and maybe you can use that.
Okay.
And probably has the same category, okay, or department or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Any recommendations?
So in terms of the quarterly, this what is it called? These months, how many months were they? It was July to, it was May. It was
June,
from May.
July. No, when I converted the dates, then changed that to the PD month, it was just June, July, August.
It was just June, July, August. Okay, yeah, it was not possible to do a quarterly view.
Yeah, I mean, this one's
just that.
like if there's quarter one, there's months that are in quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, but it was not easy to convert that, unless maybe like I feel per cell, which was not possible.
And the PD month is based on the initiation date, production month.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else with a question? No? Okay, thank you, Wamboi.
You're welcome. Maybe the last thing I can mention, so I discovered there's a way for Excel to just give you like a nice color coordination with like different variations. That's what really captured a lot of people, even on LinkedIn. Where is it? There's somewhere that gives you the, where did I? Yeah. So Excel does, I don't know if this is the case for other like older Excels, but from mine, I had like a color coordination that I could choose from, as you can see. So Excel just literally does for you, changes the colors for you, which is beautiful, right? So this is the shortcut I took. It has nothing to do with me choosing the colors. So in case anyone is interested, was interested in knowing how I chose the colors, this is what I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know Excel had that. I know Power BI has that, and I know Tableau has that. I
Mm,
didn't know Excel has that. That's good to learn.
yeah, you can change, even like you can add like a theme for you and everything. So makes life easier.
Yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and also another thing I wanted to say, please share your dashboard one last time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now because we're learning and
Mm,
stuff like that, it's I will allow you guys to put assumptions and recommendations in your dashboards, but ideally you shouldn't at all.
oh,
Like especially at work when you're preparing dashboards for stakeholders, it could be your manager or your CEO or whatever.
mm,
These assumptions and recommendations are normally put in let's say if it's a PowerPoint, right? You'll put
mm,
that there, but not on the dashboard itself. Or you just present it, you mention the assumptions and you mention the recommendations during your presentation, but do not put them on the dashboard because it takes
right.
up space that you could be using for other metrics, right?
Mm,
Yeah, so that you only do, probably if you're doing a PowerPoint on the side, to just put the slides and explain what they're about. Or during your presentation, you can mention you assumed this and this. And also after you're done, you say this was your recommendation, but do not put those on the dashboard themselves.
okay, so next time, instead of even just putting this at the bottom, I should just put everything in a different tab, right?
Yeah, or you just mention it as you're presenting.
All right.
Yeah, you can mention it as you're presenting. Because that should be the first thing, even before you start presenting. If you did make any assumptions, first
Mm,
you state your problem that you're trying to solve, then you say the assumptions that you made, then now you get to presenting. And then now, of course, you finish up with a recommendation. But also,
okay.
again, it depends on your audience.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. These are not the kind of things you don't learn that in those certification courses. So thank you.
Yeah, you don't even me had to learn on the job.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else with a question before we wind up? No? Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming. I hope you learned something today. And those were very nice dashboards. So we'll get back to the chat. Oh, Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer, you have a question?
Sorry, it's totally off the conversation about the challenge that was being presented. So I am new to the group and to how do I put it? Like I'm new in this community, so I wanted to know how long was the challenge? How long? Like when was it shared? And
I know.
if it can be posted again so that for people who are new, we can get to look at it too.
Yeah, sure. I can repost it. And what I normally do is I share challenge every beginning of the month, but we'll not have one in December. So we'll resume in January. And I give everyone like a month to anyone who wants to participate. Yeah, we normally do presentations every end of the month. So because of course people have work and other things they're doing. So I feel like a month is a good timeline for you to work on it. And then we present every end month.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
So for this challenge, it was supposed to be done with only Excel.
yeah. It's
Okay.
supposed to be an Excel dashboard. Previously, we had done, it was a tool of your choice before that. You could have used Tableau or Power BI, but this time it was specifically Excel.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to join you guys. I hope I can learn a lot from you.
You will, and welcome. Okay, all right. Okay, yes, Njambi.
Maybe also, how do one get to present what they have?
What do you mean?
Like, is everyone allowed to present, or does specific groups?
No, it depends on like who actually do it. Not everyone actually does it. Like this time, we weren't as many as the first time. There were only 3 people who actually did it. So those were the 3 people who were supposed to present. But when there are many, we normally do like a short list
So
of
once
the
some Okay,
yeah.
so once someone has finished, they're supposed to submit, or
Yes, we normally post on LinkedIn. So let me do this. Let me after the meeting, I share on the group what we normally do and the
yeah.
process after finishing and all that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you learned something. And the next presentations will be in January. So I guess I'll see you guys then. All right.
Thank you,
Have a
Suzanne.
nice long weekend.
You too, Suzanne. Bye.
You too. Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.